All right.
Yay.
It is saying that we are in fact live.
Man. I'm just
All
getting
right.
my laptop because I had to do some budget cuts myself. I no longer have the iPad anymore. I sold
Uh,
it. Yeah. Hey, you gotta make moolah. You gotta make moolah. Now I might get the iPad Mini if I have the budget, but we'll see.
right on. I love the fact that I got my iPad because I don't feel like I'm just like
Yeah. And
I feel
except
somewhat
the
more professional.
YouTube on the Switch, like it doesn't like you can't like look at the comments or anything. Or actually, I don't know if I can. Let me see.
You can on the Switch, but you can like watch like when you're watching something that's like an hour long that like Slapshoes puts out, or
Yeah.
something that Tranquilo Club's putting out. Like you can relax and watch it, or the
Yeah.
Game Grumps.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, like on YouTube, you don't see the. Oh wait, you do see the live chat. Oh, what do you know? Problem solved. And now if this thing will even play.
All right.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, problem solved.
Um, Putting this out there to our wonderful followers that are definitely,
Successfully connected.
including our contest winners.
And what is today's T-shirt?
Today's T-shirt is Wrestling at the Chase with Kerry Von Erich and the Crusher and Ric Flair and
Okay.
Bruiser Brody and the announcer Larry Madisick and some guy that I think a lot of new fans were introduced to this past Saturday, Baron Von Raschke.
When I saw him, I was like, "Oh, I know who you are. You're the guy with the
But
claw."
so was Kerry Von Erich. He also did the claw.
Mm-hmm.
But Baron does it better. The claw.
No, the Von Erichs did the claw, man. That was the Von Erichs.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't grow up with the Von Erichs.
Nobody.
Because I grew up with this Eric.
What's up?
We have Raybo asking, "Do the Crusher."
Do the Crusher. Just, all
Okay, well,
right.
at least it confirms that my Switch can look at comments. So yay!
All right. So, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined on the other end of the tin cannon string by CJ of Team All Zero.
Yep.
By Easy.
Happy Latvian Independence Day.
And by Nick. Nick is here.
I'm here. He's here?
He is here.
Hey.
Indeed. Hey. So, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We have we have a pay-per-view to talk. We have some prizes to give away. We have a pay-per-view to talk about. We have a Dynamite to talk about. We have a pay-per-view to predict, and we have more releases to talk about. So, I'm not sleeping tonight. But if you've never seen this show before, this is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I met CJ and Nick locally. I met Easy at All In and Starcast. We love wrestling. We love talking wrestling. We love sharing our love of pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, we are just fans. Our opinions are that of any normal fan out there. We avoid insider terms because, well, at the end of the day, we're not insiders. We're not wrestlers. We are just a bunch of damn dirty marks. But we're damn dirty marks that give away prizes. And we had a really tight race for and I'm getting hung up on one of the prize boxes for first place in the full gear contest. Thank you everyone for playing. Our third prize was Mo, who entered on Facebook. But our first prize, well, we had a tie for first place between Caleb, who entered on Facebook, and Marcel, who also entered on Facebook. So, they have to be drawn for the winner. And the winner is... I need to jingle them around a little bit more. The winner is... Caleb! So Marcel gets second place. And yeah. So thank you, everyone. We will not be doing one for Survivor Series because who the fuck cares about Survivor
Who gives a
Series?
shit?
But we'll start with Mo and his third prize of a comic book. Let's pick one out of this here long box or short box for him. It is. Mo wins a copy of Savage Avengers number 19. So, congratulations, Mo. Savage Avengers is a good comic book. And Marcel also gets a comic book, and his is Batman number 107. Got Batman book there, and he also wins an action figure. And the action figure he wins is a Psychosis action figure. So, very cool there. And for Caleb, the figure that he wins is a Goldberg action figure. A t-shirt wearing Goldberg. So, there you go, Caleb. That is one part of your grand prize for winning first place. And the comic book is The Flash, number 765. So, there's that. Everybody else still there? Y'all gone really quiet.
I'm here. I'm just dealing with this stupid laptop, but I'm good.
All right.
You're the star of the show.
You're presenting.
I'm presenting, but I'm kind of. I was hoping for a little more. Ooh, Goldberg.
That's my favorite.
I'm more of a Gilbert person.
And for the DVD, Caleb gets a Brian Kendrick Presents The King of Flight from Sunday, March 24th. It is a single elimination tournament consisting of, oh wow, this is cool, names like Rich Swann, The Amazing Red, Ricochet, Paul London, Samurai Del Sol, A.R. Fox, and as it's written on here, Nick Buck and Matt Buck. So, that's an interesting little DVD there. And for the t-shirt, Caleb wins a Vigilante Club t-shirt. Because they were really trying to get rid of these. Unfortunately, because you got one of these in like every pro wrestling tees grab bag. Vigilante Club, the Stephen Amell Bullet Club shirt. And finally, the bonus prize, since you beat the dealer, you win a Ricky Steamboat autograph picture.
Okay, that one's legit.
Ooh.
That one's legit. Yeah.
Okay, that one's legit.
Yep, a Ricky Steamboat autograph picture. So, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Congratulations to all of our winners. Your prizes will be sent out, I'm going to say probably about next week. I will definitely try to get to the old post office, and I'm also going to try and find a protector for this wonderful treasure that is a Ricky Steamboat autograph picture. Put it in here temporarily, because I will not send that out to Caleb and risk it getting destroyed, because it's Ricky Steamboat. So, congratulations, everybody, and thank you all for playing. So let's get down to brass tacks. There was a pay-per-view that happened this weekend.
Did something happen?
Did something happen? No, nothing happened.
Nothing happened Sunday? Okay. Or not Sunday, it's Saturday.
I was going to say, nothing really happened
Yeah,
Sunday.
nothing really did
My
happen
Twitter
on Sunday.
blew up about stuff in a wrestling pay-per-view, which apparently has been told is better than sports entertainment, which is like, very interesting.
Yeah, so I mean,
we all wish we were there.
Yeah, could have been, but we weren't. So we might as well just take this one from the top because we're gonna talk about everything that was on this pay-per-view. So the first pre-show match was Hikaru Shida and Thunderosa versus Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose. This match was just kind of what it was. It was a pre-show match. It was a good match. What did everybody else think?
I only saw like part of it, and then Bleacher Report screwed up, and I didn't see the ending.
Seems to be a theme.
Yeah, that's.
I thought it was the best. The best I've seen Jamie Hayter. I've been pretty critical of her since she came to AEW, but this was a perfectly fine performance, I thought. So
I think it was a good match. I think a lot of people were complaining that it was relegated to the pre-show, but I feel like the pre-show was a good place for it, and
wasn't really built up or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just a random like women's tag match, really.
Yeah, I feel like
it's for the tournament.
The only thing I will say is
exist.
I feel like there's another tag match that also could have been put on the pre-show. More on that later.
Or Dynamite.
I'm going to disagree with you about it being on the pre-show, not because it deserved to be on the main card, but, and we can talk about this a little bit later, as you got through the main card, everybody got really tired and they could have used a break, and this would have been a fantastic break match.
Fair enough.
That's fair. You know, this really one thing it lacked was QT Marshall versus Paul White.
QT Marshall in general just
it
needs
needed
to be.
like, I'm joking, but it also needed a match like that. For real.
Yeah,
it really did.
Being in the arena for All Out, QT Marshall versus Paul White was a fucking godsend. Like, I was so happy. We were actually in line at the bathroom, and I was joking with some of the other people, like, think we can get a couple headlocks, some rest holds. Maybe we could stretch this one out a little bit. Maybe get us somewhere between a 5 and 10 minute promo from Paul White when we're done about how he's so happy to be in AEW and back to how he loves Chicago and he's glad to be in the ring and this, that, and the other. I think we could just get that little stretch. That'd have been nice. But yeah. So we go from that to what could be considered match of the night. MJF versus Darby Allen. Well, Nick, what did you think of this one?
It's a real close toss-up for match of the night. But I think that just purely as a wrestling match, this was the match of the night for me. Honestly, really in contention for match of the year. I thought this was awesome. There was nothing about this match I didn't like. I liked every second of it. Like both of the guys involved. I liked the ending of it, which I know some people didn't love, but
makes sense.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense from a story perspective of what this feud is built around. And I just thought it was literally like a perfect match. It had everything that I want in like a good, just regular classic wrestling match. And proved once and for all that MJF is as good in the ring as he is in the promos. And I've thought that since the Jungle Boy match. That was when I realized, like, oh damn, he's like really good. And that was over a year ago. But I think this really he's been bragging about it, but it's true.
Yep. I don't know. What about you, CJ?
I really liked it. For me, it wasn't like it was the wrestling match of the night, but it wasn't my absolute favorite, and that's not taking it away from it anything at all. I've known for a while that MJF is really good in the ring and Darby's really good, so I had high expectations for it anyway. I was informed that the internet does not think MJF is a good wrestler, and that kind of blew my mind. But the internet's wrong, and it's fine. This was a good match. The winner was who needed to win, and it sets up so much other stuff that I am so excited about. So,
Easy.
All right, so here's why our show is an hour long. Just kidding. But seriously, like this match, like I've been waiting for this for so long, and honestly, well, like again, now a lot of people were happy with the ending, as am I. Honestly, were you expecting something else? Honestly, because I kind of knew that MJF
I wasn't
was
really
gonna win
expecting
this.
anything else. I kind of
But like
I had hope for
ending-wise,
when Sting came
ending
out and
wise.
no, I think CJ even predicted somehow a headlock takeover is going to be used in the finish of this match by someone. I did have that like hope spot with for Darby when Sting came out and beat up
Oh,
the
we all
account
did.
when Sting came out and beat up the accountability buddies. That's
Nobody
boo.
gives a shit.
yeah, boo, yeah, it was
I
bad.
give a shit.
Good for you. Good for you. That must be some good shit.
It is good. The
Accountability
accountability
buddies.
buddies are good shit. But yeah,
2024.
when he yeah, fuck. Oh no, one's Canadian. We can't do that. Damn it. Can't vote for. No, but that's why we can't.
It's a law.
Yeah, it's kind of a law. We can't.
It's not an offensive thing. It's a law.
Yeah, that's why we can't vote for Sean Spears and Wardlow to be president and vice president because one's Canadian. Gosh, it sucks.
But yeah, and I actually did see on our predictions that I was hoping that if MJF wins, Wardlow was going to turn, but I guess not. Since I saw Sting beat those guys up, I was like, God damn it!
Those guys are the accountability buddies.
I knew that the ending. Don't give a shit. I knew that the ending was going to be MJF was going to hit the diamond ring on Darby, and and of course MJF taking the win. It was like we saw this at Revolution 2020. And it kind of it made us like a little bit sad where it's like you build up all this hype, you make Cody go through all these stipulations and he still lost, and you have Darby just building up all his charisma and just finally standing up to the bully only to get beat down in the end. It's like, you know what, honestly, it keeps MJF's credibility as the greatest villain in wrestling right now, and especially when we talk Dynamite later, is the #1 dream match I was hoping for. And again, we'll talk more about that later. But still, I do rank this up as match of the night. It was just unbelievable. There's a great reason why Darby and MJF, they are one of the 4 pillars of
Pillows,
this.
I think you mean.
I said pillars.
No, I think
I
you
just
mean
said
pillows.
Whatever. Whatever. But anyways, there is a reason, those young guys, they are going to keep AEW at the top of their level. So, and we only wish the best out of them. Even if MJF forever is going to be someone that we're always going to scream shut the fuck up at, he wants that. And that is why one day he's going to be AEW World Champion. If they don't do it in 2022, I'm going to really give Tony Khan a piece of my mind. Other than why the hell don't you have AEW coming to Canada soon?
All right, so my opinion. I love this match. It was match of the night. I was actually just kind of thinking the other day, I had a free minute, and I'm like, well, how does my top 10 list stack up now? I don't know if it makes top 10, and that's not saying it's bad, but it's just kind of one of those, well, there's a lot of other really good wrestling I've seen this year, but this was still damn good, and if it doesn't make top 10, it would be 11 or 12. But this was, without question to me, from an in-ring perspective, the match of the night. Everything everybody else said, because it was damn good. And the ending was well executed and perfectly done. And it kind of goes back to what I said on the predictions. Though, as much as we want Darby to win, because Darby's great, it makes sense for MJF to win, and it makes sense for Darby to lose, because Darby's got to have something to fight against. He's always got to have something to come back from. Much like, kind of like Tetsuya Naito. Tetsuya Naito always need to have something to come back from and that's what drives his character. And the same thing is kind of true with Darby. So So you want to talk about a great match where everything was good and we were all happy and we walked out of that match thinking, "Wow, that's amazing," and the ending of the match was well executed. Well, let's talk about something that what started out very good and, in my opinion, turned into complete and total shit. And that is the Lucha Bros versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championship. I'm just gonna take the lead on this one because this is something I gotta get off my chest. This match was good until it went on for too fucking long. Okay, I can understand if you didn't want to end it on the belt shot because you did just have a foreign object shot in the previous match, so maybe don't overdo that. Respect there. This match should have ended on the spiked pile driver for an FTR win, or in the double pin, which was messed up by the Lucha Bros for a Lucha Bro win. But we had to have 8,000 more kickouts. We had to have fucking more finisher kickouts. Apparently, FTR's finisher just sucks because it can't finish anyone ever. And then you have a stupid ending with the masks and the wrong guy getting pinned. Other than the fact that it sets up a rematch down the road, which, trying to look at things half full, that's fine. But this match went on for way too long. It overstayed its welcome. It was a good match until it overstayed its welcome. I'm not no bitter old atheist with a tennis racket, but something's gotta fucking be scaled back on. You can't blow it all in one go. And they definitely blew it all in one go here. And and they're two of my favorite tag teams, but this was not one of my favorite matches. This was bad, and it was bad because of the ending.
Yeah, I pretty much completely agree with you. I think I was kind of surprised. We talked in our group chat, like I think during the show, during the show, and we were pretty much on the same wavelength. I didn't like this match, but everyone I've talked to and everyone I've listened to, it seems to be pretty like a very well liked match. I haven't really heard anybody except the tennis racket guy who, I have a lot more. I like him a lot more than you do. But he didn't like it expectedly. But he's the only other person I've
He
really
probably
heard
also didn't like
say it
half of
wasn't
this
good.
card.
He liked about half, yeah. He liked about half of it.
He didn't like the main event because of who was in it, which is why he has zero credibility.
Yeah, but we don't need to spend too much time talking about him. But yeah, he like I did not. I think this was my least favorite match on the card, honestly.
I can agree with that.
And I don't. It was the only one that there were some that I was just like, yeah, that was like whatever. But this one like actually kind of like made I didn't like it. Like it was a net like negative on the card to me. And I think FTR are probably the best tag team in the world, but they should never ever wrestle Lucha guys. I've not seen them have like a great match against Lucha people, but every other match they have is good to great. That's just too much of a styles clash. I think it just doesn't work. You can have them wrestle high flyers. I think they would have a good match against Leo Rush and Dante Martin, but like as far as like actual Lucha, it's just too different, I think.
All right, easy.
Sorry, I was eating. 2 seconds. Okay, now good. Yeah, honestly, like it got to the point where people were thinking, like, oh my god, like what could top MJF Darby? Like, it was just amazing. Like, for me personally, I didn't think it went that long. It was just like a lot of near finishers. But otherwise, if we're gonna talk like, oh, like this match went on too long, let me bring up Revolution 2020 Hangman Omega versus.
That made sense. It had a story.
It wasn't
behind
about
it.
the length. The length wasn't the problem. It was the flow of the match.
It's like if we're gonna talk like how long this damn thing went, may I remind you about this one other tag match that I was thinking.
Some matches need to go that long. Some matches don't. This is one that didn't.
It could have went long. It just didn't need. Phoenix kicked out of everything.
I didn't even notice it even went that long. It was just
that's what I mean.
Ending.
Yeah.
It was just the ending was the stupidest thing that I've seen.
It was. See, I think
it was Order beating up the Young Bucks, closing out
To me, it was
2019.
stupid
But
before that ending occurred. The ending was just like the diarrhea piece of corn
The
on
ending
top
didn't
of the
even
shit
bother
Sunday.
me, to be honest.
I was just
I didn't
confused.
even
It's like
care.
the Lucha Brothers win on that, and then I'm like, wait, what? That's what? I didn't even know what to say. Like, I thought it was such a great tag match, and then it ends on those stupid masks, which, like, can they just get rid of those? Nobody gives a shit about. It was funny at first with the Lucha Brothers, or not Lucha Brothers, FTR having those Lucha masks, but not the next 5-10 times. I don't give a shit. Just it's like when they were trying to beat the Bucks by doing some flips. It's like it worked. It was great the first time, but it's not going to work the next time, or at least when they try it. But still, like, again, this was such a great tag match that just got wasted over those stupid luchador masks. It's like, it again, let that go. We don't give a shit. Give us something new.
Okay. CJ?
So if that's going to be like their case for a rematch, it's like, honestly, like, it just didn't work.
I
Okay?
don't want to
That
see a
was your own
rematch.
fucking
I want
fault.
to see a rematch because they don't have any chemistry. But back to the original point, no, the reason that match went long and had finisher kickouts because it had a deeply personal, deep story with a lot of heat behind it and a lot of hype. This was just kind of a standard, okay, time for a good tag match. You got to scale shit back. Now, if they would have had like a series of matches and then had a bunch of finisher kickouts by like All Out next year, cool, that's great because that's like, there's a story that justifies all the finisher kickouts. There was no story to justify FTR getting 3 fucking finishers kicked out of by Ray Phoenix.
I don't like Phoenix in that role either. There are people who can, like, Bryan Danielson has that, like, he's just this tough, tenacious, grinding, like, he's going to kick out, he's got heart. There's people like Miro, who's just like a tough son of a gun, and you can't keep him down, and he's going to kick out. There are certain types of wrestlers that I'm okay with kicking out of more things than other people. But Phoenix does not have that type of character or role at all. So he really shouldn't be kicking out of much. He's like he's just like a super incredibly talented high flying luchador, but that doesn't make any sense that he would have like this just tenacity to kick out of a million things.
Well, and he
That's
kicks out of
the
a
main
million
thing that
things
bothered
and
me.
jumps right back up into something else.
Yeah,
And
even
that kind of
Pentagon fits that role better than Phoenix. If you're someone on that team, like, I think he would make more sense in that space. I just don't get Phoenix in that role.
the thing about this one that I didn't get is why we had to have the mask finish to set up another match, because they had a storyline reason to set up another match this way anyway. Forget the stupid mask, have the Lucha Brothers win. That's fine. They're still split the belts. So put it belt for belt, winner take all. There's your third match. Done. You didn't need stupid masks. That was dumb. It didn't need to be kicked out of 5,000 times. You didn't need all the false finishes because it didn't build suspense. It just wore out your audience that much faster, which was a big problem in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was just all around.
Yeah.
This was just all around. Up and
like, out of 5, I would give it 2.5.
out of 5, I'd give it 1.
I'd give it 1.5.
I would give it
probably.
1, and I am putting my favorite tag team in a 1-star match. That should tell you how much I disliked it.
I'm giving like 2.5 because, like, overall, again, the match was amazing up until the last 5 minutes.
I think the first 5 minutes were maybe good, and then after that, it just kind of fell apart.
Like to me, it
So
was
to
like
me,
after the belt shot, like we should have been like, okay, that should have been like the whole like, you get the belt shot, you get maybe 1 or 2 more big things, and you call it over, and you call it over, and
shot didn't end it.
I guess, and like I tied it back to, like, I understand, like, hey, that's a nice false, like, that's a good falsie right there because you just had that happen. So making this one like kind of give, oh shit, oh no, like that was a good false finish. But once they did the fucking double pile, like the spike pile driver, it should have been over. That shouldn't have been kicked out of. That shouldn't have been fucking. They should have won with that one and then set up a rematch. And then in the significantly more violent and more epic rematch, all right, we got this spike pile driver. 1, 2, Phoenix kicks out. Oh my God, he kicked out. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then Lucha Bros win. That's how you do that. You don't fucking give that away now. Honestly, like, I like the Lucha Bros, but I honestly think they're very overrated. I think
They are good against certain teams.
and I don't mean overrated like bad. I mean overrated in the literal term of overrated. Like, there's lots of people that are things that are very good, but they're overrated. You know, people still think that Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time, and Peyton Manning is probably one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, but he's not the greatest. And the people that still live off of that are overrating him. You know, there are people that think that Avengers Endgame is the greatest comic movie of all time, and it's a damn fine movie. You're overrating it a little bit. You know, it's overrated in the sense of it's not as good as everybody wants to say it is, in my opinion.
It's funny that I'm actually wearing a Tom Brady jersey, but he's honestly in my top 5 of all-time greatest quarterbacks.
I'm not saying he's not top 5. I'm saying there's still people that say he is like the undisputed king, and he's not. And that's not saying that Peyton Manning isn't great or good or doesn't deserve praise. But when you have everybody saying that there's nobody better than the Lucha Bros, like, no, to me, like, and you can even put FTR on this list too, you know, because to me a great tag team, the best tag team in the world, the best wrestler, doesn't have this problem of, shit, you know, if they just weren't wrestling high flyers, or if they just weren't wrestling old school brawlers, they would have had a good match. If you're the best tag team in the world, like I said, I'm lumping my favorite, FTR, in there too, you wouldn't have that problem. You wouldn't be, people wouldn't be saying, well, if only you were with somebody else. No, if you were the best in the world, you would be able to handle it. That's why if you want to say best in the world right now, you mention Bryan, you mention Okada, you mention Kenny, you mention, you know, even Roman Reigns to a certain extent. You know, so if you're going to go with who's the best tag team in the world right now, like, I'd say you may have to give it to the Young Bucks. Or at least maybe even Santana and Ortiz, or, you know.
What about the Hardys? Or we just
they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're not wrestling as a tag team right now.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, greatest in the world, like, right now.
Yeah, it would be the Bucks.
You might have to. Like, there's just nobody else out there right now that is just that. And I'm not saying they're like they're the best in terms of their diversity. I don't love every Young Bucks match, but you know. So the next match, a palate cleanser of sorts, is Bryan Danielson versus Miro. I enjoyed this match, except for the panic I had at the finish. So, I like this. It felt like an old UFC fight to me. Like, when you watch the old early to mid 90s UFC, where it's just kind of like, don't punch them in the balls, don't poke them in the eyes, and don't fish hook their face, but just
fisted fights.
Yeah, just go fucking fight. Like, that's what it felt like. Just two guys fucking having a war, and I was there for it. And yeah, now that I was able to calm down from what I was thinking this meant in the main event, for the main event, I like the match. What say you?
Frankly, I don't know why. Like, I actually immediately already was like a little bit drained and tired. That was like 2 already insane matches, one having a crappy finish. But Bryan Miro is like, this was a pretty good match. Does it crack my top 10? No. But I remember like the panic you guys had, that thinking Bryan won, oh no, or Kenny's gonna win later on today, which we'll get to that later. But this was honestly just well deserved for Bryan. You know, like, he'll get an AEW title shot. Personally, preferably, I would rather have him have his title match at Revolution. Just build it up a little bit. Or then again, it will
you might
depend
be asking
on whether,
for a little too much build up in that sense.
Well, I was gonna say, it's gonna depend on whether Revolution is gonna be on February, or if they want to save him fighting who would be the AEW World Champion at Winter is Coming, if that's going to happen. But still, we're just playing fantasies here.
Okay.
So we have a TNT special in January. That's like Night of Champions kind of thing. That's
It'd
a
probably be the
possibility.
logical place to put that match. Yeah.
It gives you a good 6 to 7-ish weeks to build it.
And for the love of God, let it not be in Jacksonville.
I don't know where it's going to be. I know that they're going back to Jacksonville for January 1st,
that
end
part
of December.
I know about that.
Yeah. But they haven't announced anything. They've announced that it's going to be on TNT and it's going to be about an hour, and the name of it, kind of, and that's about it. And I think that's a perfectly fine place, or a big,
or maybe
match.
the last Dynamite on TNT,
or even the first Dynamite on TBS. The go in with a bang.
They need to have a stellar
actually,
card
now that you bring that up, that'll work
show.
for me because I'll be there.
I mean, however they want to do it, as long as
Battle of the Belts is what's going to be called. Thank you, Miss Ace.
Yeah.
Okay.
No matter when, I mean, as long as they give it a good they've got enough material to give it some time, kind of flesh this out. Apparently, he's going to take on all of the Dark Order, and if this doesn't end with John Silver, I'm going to be mad. Even though it's gonna mean John Silver. Johnny Hungry for a great match. I mean, they've got enough Dark Order members to do that, so that's fine. As far as Full Gear went, the match with Miro was good. It wasn't either of their best, but I think that coming after two pretty intense matches didn't do it any favors. But
AEW has a huge problem with card pacing.
It's not a bad problem with card
pacing.
Yeah.
True.
Well, on the one hand, it's a bunch of matches that you don't give a shit about. On the other hand, it's too many matches that you give way too many shits about.
Yeah. But yeah, Nick, what do you think about this match?
I loved it. I thought it was a pretty I don't want to say old school, but it was I could see that match happening in the territory days. You know what I mean? The big bad guy coming up against the smaller good guy who's technical brute. I think that though it makes more sense than when other people do it for Miro to be fucking hit me. I don't even care. It doesn't hurt. I think because that part in matches gets used an awful lot in AEW, and it kind of gets a little overdone, I think. And I know Danielson really seems to like having that in his matches too, but it really works for Miro specifically. And I think it was, like I said, it was a very classic, a timeless match. You could put it anywhere in almost any company, it would be good. I kind of think that the pacing as far as that goes was okay, because I would have,
the match
shortened
pacing was okay, but
no, I mean as far as even its place on the card, because it was a slower match that would build. By the end of the match, the crowd were more in it than they were at the start, because it's more of a MJF and Darby started off with a bang, and they just kept revving up the whole time. Whereas this was not that kind of match, but it was still a match that the two guys in there are good enough, and the style of the match was good enough that it would build to people caring about it regardless. So I think that wasn't, I don't think that was the most terrible card build, the first three, but yes, a really good match between two guys I really like. Miro is an incredibly interesting character at this point. This is the best he's ever been as a character and as a wrestler. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I kind of wanted him to win, even though I love Danielson. But maybe we'll get that down the line. Miro wrestling for the world title, I think.
Or maybe he wants to go back on the TNT championship route, but we'll see.
CJ, anything you'd like to add about that match?
No.
Okay. So now we move on to a 6-man tag team match. Jurassic Express and Christian Cage in a Falls Count Anywhere match against Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. This match was good. I thought it told a good story. There was some good stuff in it. Um, some things in it weren't my cup of tea, but I thought the I feel like the ending of the match is to build to a more aggressive Jungle Boy. Not even feel like, I think that's like pretty much what they kind of on the nose told you on commentary. Um, I liked it. Served a purpose. Good. It's what it needed to be. Um, everybody worked hard. There you go.
Okay,
I
so
I
before
I
uh,
I
Aaron,
loved this match. I thought this is really close to being my match of the night.
Here, let me ask you
Like
this:
I would
since you listened to that jackass, did he actually put over this match, or is this one that he
he didn't
hated?
watch it.
Gotcha, gotcha.
He
Okay,
won't watch anything with Adam Cole until he quits working with the Young Bucks.
so
Um
that's why he has no credibility. But go on.
but well, he says he doesn't want to hate Adam Cole, but he knows he'll hate him if he watches him with the Young Bucks,
So
so he's
that's
gonna
why he
let him
has
go
no
the other way.
credibility.
Um, but honestly, like we talked about the stars earlier, for me personally, this is completely subjective. I know because I think that there's a little bit of you can say some things are objectively good and bad to an extent in wrestling, but I love this type of match. This is the match when I was a kid that made me really love wrestling. I loved the Hell in a Cell matches. I love the TLC matches. I love the hardcore matches. And this was this was like a TLC match, basically. It was not the same kind of psychology, but that type of match from when I was a kid dialed up to like 12. Just with the athleticism and the craziness of it. The only thing I don't love the thumbtacks in wrestling. That's really about it. Every other kind of like weapon stuff that was there, I didn't mind or liked. But the thumbtacks on the knee pads, I didn't love that. It kind of like stopped the
Now, see, I
momentum.
like that for me. Like, I thought it was like a cool spot because that's also kind of like the Young Bucks thing is, hey,
It was a
remember
cool
thumbtacks the
idea.
shoe or the, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It just
and that's
seemed
basically
too
a wet
like
dream for ECW.
yeah, but I'm just not a big. The thumbtacks in the mouth was okay. You don't need to use thumbtacks twice in a match for one thing. Two thumbtack spots is too many. One time per show, and really like one time every few pay-per-views, not even one time per show. But um, so that part was a little bit too much for me. But I just this Luchasaurus's shooting star press, Luchasaurus choke slamming. I think it was Nick Jackson off of the um ramp was awesome. Just see Christian Cage still out there just kicking butt after being off for so long, doing balcony dives.
Oh, yeah.
Um, the running Hurricane Rana that Jungle Boy did to Adam Cole through the table was so cool. Just a lot, definitely what you people would call a spot fest. But it did have it had story beats at the same time
Mm-hmm.
too. So it's kind of
You can
like
have a
the
high spot
evolution.
match and still have story beats and still go with the flow of the story and make sense.
Absolutely.
This is, again, like if we're going to compare and contrast, this is a way you can do that kind of shit and it makes sense and it work for the story that had been built up and told. Contrast that with the
Definitely.
tag title match.
So this is why, I complained about a bunch of kickouts in the tag title match, but I was okay with this one. And this, there was more breaking up pins than I think just blatant unnecessary kickouts. And this has been built more personally and for longer than the other one. But yeah, just kind of like the next evolution of those crazy like I don't I to me that's not a Nick Gage does like garbage matches. This isn't a garbage match. I call it like a car crash match. This is like the next step of like car crash wrestling matches. And yeah, I loved it. So
CJ, what'd you think?
I liked it. Thumbtack spots make me nervous. I just think I don't know. I think there's like a mother hen instinct in me, like somebody's gonna get their eye poked out.
Or
Thumbtacks
Jungle
in the
Boy's gonna
mouth.
swallow one.
Yeah. Thumbtacks in the mouth make me more nervous than thumbtacks on any piece of gear that they have. And
I should probably ask Anna Jay about that.
and I have been shown how it's done, like how it's put in and what you do with it to make that not so bad and not swallow it, and it still makes me a nervous wreck. And I don't even like know the person personally. I'm like, oh Jesus, here we go. Somebody's gonna swallow it. You're gonna swallow it, kid.
The worst
But yeah.
one was at the first All Out where they poured the thumbtacks in what's his name's mouth and then they taped his mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Yeah.
was just like
Yeah.
I would never agree to do that because I can't breathe out of my nose. So like I'd be dead.
I think
Thumbtacks
when you
don't
see
hurt
like
that
a
much,
close up
though.
that the Bucks actually like kicked Jungle Boy's forehead. But again, trying to playing along with it, it got me nervous too. It's
God
like,
damn
oh
it! That's how
no.
to kill the goddamn business, motherfuckers.
For the
Not my
record,
podcast.
Well,
thumbtacks
the
don't
internet
really
community
hurt
can piss off. This is called reality.
because me and my cousins used to stab each other with thumbtacks when we were kids, and it really doesn't hurt that bad.
Well, I think that's why the mouth thing makes me more nervous than like
Because
falling
the
on them. Or,
swallowing part.
yeah, because I can just see
Mhm.
it like just straining, all the way to like Jesus, like
Yeah.
your poor colon. All the polyps are gone.
Right.
You know,
I'm
it's kinda
sure,
funny.
I'm sure if that sort of incident would happen, there would be emergency surgeons on set.
Well, and I'm sure there are, but
Still.
there's a lot of things internally there that once they're damaged, there's no going
Yeah.
back.
It's funny though,
There's
like
no
we're
fixing
talking about
this.
this match. We were mentioned earlier, like who is the best tag team in the world, and part of my criteria is can you work well with anyone? And as great as the teams going for the tag titles, where they don't work well with everyone. We said the Young Bucks, but Jurassic Express pretty well can work well with anyone. So you'd have to put them in that.
I could see Jurassic Express working like a classic Southern style Crockett tag team match better
Yeah.
than the Young Bucks too. Honestly,
Yeah,
they can wrestle a more subdued style.
They
I've never
could.
really seen the Young Bucks subdued.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean,
Yeah.
and we also saw like with Jurassic Express, you saw they were able to have a great match with FTR, and they've been able to have great matches with the Bucks
And the Lucha Brothers.
and the Lucha Brothers, and everyone.
Yeah, Luchasaurus is just good. He's not like, I don't know if I would say he's underrated, but he's just awesome. And I like tend to just forget about him because I really like Jungle Boy so much, and he's like in one of my top spots. But
My issue with
Luchasaurus is freaking kicks
Luchasaurus,
ass.
I feel like he needs to be more dinosaur-y. Like he could have been
Yeah.
like a great children's gimmick. Like I'm not saying like he needs to like be like, but like that could have been like a really cool gimmick that for kids that could also kind of like almost like Colt Cabana. He can be funny, he can be serious. He just works. But
Well, I
like
think
They could
honestly,
do like a
just his,
remix of the Jurassic Express or Jurassic Park theme, like dun dun dun.
Yeah,
dun,
but
dun.
the
Or I think
original thing
copyright.
kind of was.
yeah, but like but the
Mhm.
thing is
Issues.
like for too much like okay, as a gag on BTE like showing that Luchasaurus is a really intelligent guy with a master's degree. Like, that's fun for BTE, but, like, when they're doing it on Dynamite, it's like, no, like...
I'll say, as someone with an 8-year-old boy in the house, just the fact that he has a dinosaur mask and his name is Luchasaurus is enough for little boys to
Fair enough.
be all about it.
I was just... This was, like... My thing is, it's like, okay... in Wayne's World, you saw Alice Cooper, and, he... did the whole like, well, this town is the first town that elected 3 socialist mayors, and like you're like, what the hell is that doing coming out of Alice Cooper? It's like,
I think when the band members asking like Cooper or something smart, is like,
okay, but you don't have Alice Cooper do that at an Alice Cooper show.
No.
I would have Alice Cooper do that in an Alice Cooper show.
No, I want to see I want to hear I
100%.
Yeah,
that's
in the middle of Frankenstein, he gives us a lecture about the history of Wisconsin milk.
Yeah, I don't want to see that as a show. Like on
No,
Wayne's World as a joke, that's
the
great.
intermission. That's the intermission. So at every Alice Cooper show, halfway through, he finds some way to like be killed or kill himself. Like that's just how it is. The one I saw, he was hanged at the gallows.
Yes.
And then he can come out and like, look, I've reanimated myself. Kids, do you want to hear about reanimation? And then he can do that. And he can do a fun sketch about like, here's the history of the county or the town that we're in today. Isn't that fun? We're rocking out and we're learning something.
Do
Give
not give him a Firefly Funhouse gimmick.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes.
All right. Anything else on this match? Because we gotta move on.
Oh God! Wait! I haven't said my take yet.
That's what I said. Get the.
Okay. I know. I'll make it quick. So, like, actually, before I even like talk really quick about this, because I know we got to move on. Bleacher Report cut out my stream at the worst possible moment before the boom and the Adam Cole baby. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, what the hell? That's the only reason I like Adam Cole in AEW. But it's still like, damn it. So I missed that, but at least like what the entire match itself was like pretty entertaining, especially seeing Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler getting their asses kicked. And if you see the BTE footage from Full Gear, it's actually pretty badass too. So,
all right. Next match.
Oh, and also this was literally BT exclusive. Christian Cage and Nick Jackson were fighting in an elevator, which that is hilarious.
So next match, luckily,
anyways, great match.
Nothing we have to talk about here. It is Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo. Wow, you want to talk about no fuck, like this just should not have happened. This match, no one cared.
Really
no one in the crowd cared. No one gave a shit. No one. This was a Dynamite match. This is a pre-show match. This was something that should not have happened, and people should not have paid money for on this night. And it's a shame.
This would have been an awesome Dynamite match, actually. They could have made it like the match of the night on Dynamite, but instead it was the lowest match of the night on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, you know how I gave the other one 1 star? This gets a half a star.
No, I would give it. This was just very mid.
Like I'm talking about.
I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, no one cared. No one cared.
Like, again, like just me personally, this should have been a pre-show match. Yeah, you say like Dynamite match. No, this really should have been a pre-show. I just did not give it 2 shits.
They want to get everybody on the card. Like this was kind of about, we need to get these 4 guys on the card somehow. But
this was QT and Paul White.
Pac might turn on Cody, but it's like I guess
it should have been QT and Paul White, but it was too long.
I think it was fine timing for what it was. It gave everybody like a good like, okay, I don't really give a shit. Like, let's go to the bathroom. Let's replenish our fuels and our drinks and calm down for a little while. Like, I'm fine with this having been on the card.
I think it
needed this.
It would have been okay on the card in that spot, but they wrestled too like hard and crazy. Like it was still like a big wild fight, whereas like it should have just been like a pretty basic WWE style tag team match. Can they get along?
Nope. Can they get along? Nope, they sure can.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but this
and then move on. But they wrestled like they were trying to steal the show.
It literally felt like a random WWE tag team match. I'm sorry to say this.
I disagree because they did a lot of shit. Like they were doing all kinds of stuff, and it was kind of like wild.
Like tag match
it needed to be more basic.
The setup was so freaking random. Like literally, I couldn't have cared less if this was Cody against Malachi or Pac Malachi, Pac Elliot, like whatever setup you wanted. I wasn't invested in this. You know, just like WWE itself, I just really didn't give a shit.
I think Bane agrees.
Yeah, Bane was furious at that.
Mm-hmm. Nothing really else, nothing really else to add to this. So let's talk about a match that was very good: Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Ty Conti. I really liked this match. I thought this was told a great story. I could have done without like the promos around it being, oh, you have no ass. Like I could have lived without that. But I thought like the story of the match itself was great. I like the story they're telling with Britt's title reign, where against Soho and against Statlander and even Nila, and Shida to an extent when she won the title. Like she was able to win pretty convincingly, and this time is the first time in her whole reign that she kind of needed a lucky roll up. She didn't win, by submission or didn't win with this dominating move. She just got a roll up. So I like the story they're telling where like, okay, you can tell all these hard matches are starting to get to Britt. And she won. She's still a chance. She didn't win by, she won cleanly. But it's kind of like, okay, how much longer can you last like going like this? I liked the story they're telling with the reign, and this was like the first time you actually saw her where, it compared to like a football team, like if a football team's, dominating every game and they're winning by a bunch of touchdowns, like 2-3 touchdowns every week, 4 touchdowns, shutting teams out. And the first team that's where it's actually like, oh, hey, they needed they needed a last second drive for the go ahead score. You're like, ooh. I mean, they won. They had every right to win. There's nothing wrong with how they won, but, whew, man, this competition's getting tough. Are they going to be able to keep it up as they enter the postseason? That's the vibe I got from this match. What say the rest of you?
Frankly, I'm honestly getting a little tired of her title reign at this point. It's like, just give me Thunderosa already so she can beat her up, or have Rebel turn on her, or Reba, whatever.
You want Rebel to beat her for the title?
No, just like go her own way, because it's like you can only be a stooge for so long. It's same with Miro. It's like at some point you got to break the reins, especially if you bring Jamie Hayter in this. It's like you're basically saying if you're bringing in some backup, it means your current backup is weak. Just my personal opinion.
So you wouldn't rather have Jamie Hayter be the one to turn on her rather than Rebel?
I want Reba to turn on Britt.
But then what does Rebel do?
That just goes her own way. Maybe goes after the TBS title, and then at some point maybe wants to battle her boss or ex-boss. But so at this point, like, I'm just playing fantasy right here. I'm just waiting for Thunder Rosa to just beat her up, because I'm just kind of over Baker being the champ. I'm the minority. I'm just tired of it for now.
10-year reign.
Yeah, no, she's not Nick Aldis.
That was only like a 3-year reign. I liked it. I liked that they ended the match differently. That they really, I think they really did a lot for Ty Conti in this match too. If you notice, they went back to Britt's broken hand as well. Kind of like, okay, she's still dealing with broken bones and all these other things, and it's been exposed again. And I think that they're starting the slow build to where she's going to be dethroned eventually, but I think we're going to see the TBS title play out before we start building back to that. I don't know who lines up next for her, but
I think it'll be Revolution by the time we get to Thunder Rosa. We got to have, like you said, we got to have she's still in the TBS title tournament, so we got to see how that plays out before.
She's got to lose that and then kind of build,
and then find a way to build back up to get there.
I was actually gonna say, if Thunder wins the TBS championship, then who should be next in line?
I don't know.
NRJ?
Already gone there.
She just had a match and got beat.
The only person that I think could go, if they're not, and I don't know why they wouldn't, if they're not going to go with Thunder Rosa to beat Britt for the title, then you got to pull someone who just got released. You got to be going with Ember Moon. You've got to be going with Tegan Nox. You got to be going with somebody who just got released from WWE that you're bringing in to do it. So therefore, you shouldn't do it.
How about Mickie James? Hardcore country.
Mickie James is the Impact champion right now.
Well, she can be the next belt collector.
I'm good. I like Mickie James, but I'm good.
Melina, her rounds as a
and Melina, salt of the earth, that woman, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. Yep. Nick, what about you? What do you think of this match?
I liked it. Wasn't anything amazing. I think it was like the step down from the really, really great matches on the card, but it was still a good match. I really like Ty Conti. She's gotten so much better over the last year.
Oh yeah.
Like, probably should win Most Improved.
She's the front runner on my list.
Yeah, she's gotten quite good. I would say she's one of my more favorite women's wrestlers in AEW. And I didn't really have any opinion of her when she was in WWE. So, so good for her. It was a good match. We'll see where this Britt Baker title reign continues to go. I'd like for her next feud to have, I don't know, the build of this match was okay. I'd like for her to have a little more meat on the bone for her next feud, whatever it is. But I think that's maybe like the one weakness of this title reign is there hasn't been any like standout feuds. So maybe that's what I hope for
Okay,
in the next
I
one.
can. I definitely see what you're saying with that, and I agree with it. But I also like how it sort of also feels like it feels kind of like an old Misawa Kabashi All Japan Noah reign a little bit in the sense of there's not a lot of anything like not a lot of deep stuff going on, but it's just kind of like I'm the best, come at me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I can kind of like I know they've tried to do that, so it's not a complete apples to apples comparison, but in that in the respect for saying what it lacks from that perspective, I feel like it's really reminiscent of something in that perspective with like the subtle, like I said, the subtle stories. Like, okay, the reign is getting as the reign continues. Does the champion grow stronger, get weaker? And right now we're kind of teetering on the champ's getting weaker.
Yeah,
So
it's a pretty realistic reign, I guess. It reminds me of like UFC title reigns, where if it's not like a John Jones or a Conor McGregor, like someone who talks a lot of shit and has feuds basically in UFC. Like you just get someone who becomes champion, like Tyron Woodley comes to mind. Like they're champion for a long time. They just continue to beat whoever the number one contender is, and they just roll through the division. And as it goes, you either build momentum or you get a little weaker as it goes on. So it's fine. It's very like that sports based thing that AEW likes, but I actually think that their strength lies more in their traditional wrestling storytelling more than their sports entertainment or their not sports entertainment, but their sports presentation. But yeah, I don't think it's been a bad feud. I would just like to have one good like reign defining feud before she loses it. That's not with Thunder Rosa.
CJ, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Next match, CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. So I'm gonna let you in on a little something. When Kingston hit the spinning back fist and knocked Punk the fuck out, that was my script telling me like, ring the fucking bell and pin his ass! Ring the fucking bell and pin his ass! Fuck him! Fuck him! Fuck, go get him, Eddie! Fuck him! Yeah. That was my wrestling is real moment of let's fucking go, Eddie! Just pin him! I don't care! I don't care that it's not gonna fucking get 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. I don't care that it's a short match. I don't care. Want Eddie Kingston to win? Fuck CM Punk. Let's go, Eddie!
I kind of figured you were actually going to be the one happy that Punk got knocked out. And it's like somewhere in the St. Louis area, a geek just screamed.
Oh,
I'm surprised you didn't hear it.
Yeah, you might have heard it up there in Cleveland, Canada, or wherever you're at, kayfabe wise. I don't know. We're down there.
I don't really care. I've said that I live in the Cleveland area, so I'm just proud to be Canadian.
I know. I'm just wanting to keep the kayfabe of you being in Canada. Just.
Oh please.
But no, I love this match. This to me was CM Punk's best match since he's come back. This proves again that you can have a great wrestling match and not bury everybody's fucking finisher. Because, okay, CM Punk got knocked the fuck out with Eddie Kingston finisher. Hey, why didn't that end the match? Because match hadn't started yet. Okay. Hey, the match didn't end with the first go to sleep. It's because Eddie was in the ropes.
So was Punk.
Yeah. So it's good. Like, this was Punk's best match. I may even say top 5 all time for Punk. Come at me. I love this match. Other than the ending, which I do understand that you still can't fucking have that little fuckface lose just yet, but I loved it.
Tony Khan, if you're listening, just give CM Punk a loss and get it over with.
No. He doesn't. No. Give CM Punk a loss when it means something to somebody like
Jungle Boy.
Or I was gonna say
Randy
Adam
Orton?
Page.
Frankie Kazarian.
Scorpio Sky.
Dan Lambert. I don't know.
Fuck no.
Hey, Dan Lambert's probably a better MMA fighter than CM Punk. Hello.
I did like that visual of Punk. I don't know if it was intentional, but Punk coming out in his fight shorts and then immediately getting knocked out.
It was very reminiscent of some
I didn't
some
think
fights.
about that, but yeah. Yep. And the other thing I liked about that, Eddie Kingston's biggest match of his life, Bryce Remsburg, the referee.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll let everybody else have their piece now.
Okay, I'll go. This one was my favorite. This was my favorite match of the night. It's probably gonna come up a little bit later. That it's probably gonna end up on a top 10 list. I love it. I love Eddie Kingston. He is one of my absolute favorites. Even though he lost, I think it was an excellent showing for him. This was they made it a whole fight. They made the match tell the same story that the promos did. They gave it fire. I loved his face after he knocked CM Punk out. Just the Mad King laughing was perfect for me. And I can gush about this forever. So it was my favorite. End of story. Watch it if you haven't.
Nick?
Yeah, great match. Just a fight, basically. They gassed. It's you hear. I've heard some people talk about how like it was too short, which I completely disagree with. But you have guys like MJF and Darby Allen went like 25 minutes and never really gassed, and CM Punk and Eddie Kingston were gassed like 4 minutes into the match. But that's because like fighting is more exhausting than wrestling. You know what I mean? Not that wrestling isn't extremely hard to do, but like if you've ever seen a fight in real life, like they rarely last longer than 45 seconds, like at a bar. Like fights are over really fast. So, but this was just a fight, another like classic, like the Miro Danielson match, a classic timeless match you could have dropped in any era, any promotion. Two guys that really, really do not like each other, that are great on the mic, that seem like they're real people, just want to beat each other up. Couldn't have. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was better than what I was expecting. So I wouldn't have changed anything about it. I thought it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. Easy. Before we move on.
So honestly, like this was a great match. Was it like the build up that we've been waiting for like all this time that Kingston and Punk have been waiting for? Like I don't know whether I was just like energy drained or I kind of thought the build up would have been a wee bit better, but this was still like a really great fight. Like that's all I gotta say, and especially with like Punk at the end, just showing that like, hey, you know what, we finally got that out of our system. We can just shake on it, and then you just see Eddie just walk away. It's like, oh boy, it just looks like this robbery's gonna be far from over at this point. So
that's the only thing I don't like is they didn't follow up on that, and maybe it will be brought up down the road.
maybe.
But like,
Again,
I want to see.
don't. I'm not going to be surprised if we get a rematch between Eddie and Punk, because I would love that. Maybe at this point, one of them might be the TNT champion.
Punk will
preferably
not
Eddie, actually.
But the one thing I wanted to hear is like Kingston justify why he didn't shake hands, and maybe we're supposed like they're sidebarring right now. We'll get to that when we talk Dynamite, but I kind of want to be like, oh yeah, Punk wanted to shake my hand. Now that he won, if he would have lost, he would have been a bitch about it, which is kind of like CM Punk. So,
I think you can infer all of the stuff you need to from that match from just the match itself.
You can, but not. But I'm not trying to sound like some elitist asshole here, but not everybody that watches AEW like picks up on that as much as somebody who studies New Japan and watches a lot of independent wrestling where you're like, okay, I'm picking up on this. Mm-hmm. The casual audience that AEW has to still somewhat look out for may need things like that spelled out for them. And that's not me knocking them. I'm just saying that's just...
Yeah.
That's just the difference in an analytical wrestling fan and the difference of somebody who just doesn't analyze shit.
to me, Eddie's character though wouldn't like. I feel like it would make most sense even if they did ask him for him to just not answer. Like, no, like I'm not. I don't need to talk about this. Like I didn't do it, and it is what it is. And I think that I kind of like that they just kind of dropped it because it's making CM Punk into a bad guy, which they absolutely do not need to do right now. If this feud continues, it's the only way for it to progress. So that is, and that I think it's good that it's kind of dropped for now, and it's something that they can go to the well to again later. Um, and Punk also has like no real reason to agree to another match. And I know you could do an angle to set that up,
Yeah.
but I
Can't-
kind of
can't-
like it. It is what it is. He
From a
lost. He's
kayfabe
moving
perspective,
on.
yeah, Punk did everything he needs to do. He doesn't need to. If there's another match, it's because Eddie's being an asshole. And the thing that I liked most about this feud is Punk was the asshole. Like,
Yeah. Something that the man you don't like, Papa Jim, did say about this, which I completely agreed with. He said that this is if you want to blur good guy, bad guy lines, which is something Cody said from the very start, and AEW does more often than traditional wrestling, and something I don't like the idea of. But he was like, if you want to do that, this is the template. He was like, these two guys, like neither one were good guys, neither one were bad guys. They just didn't like each other. It was blurred, but it was blurred in a way that completely worked.
it was kind of like pick your side.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like they're both kind of assholes, but they're
some
both
people thought
like,
Daniel Cormier was being bullied by John Jones, but Daniel Cormier ran his mouth and threw his shoes at John Jones.
yeah,
And
exactly.
John Jones, some people liked him because was a respectable fighter, but he did kind of just say, yeah, Daniel Cormier's a bitch, and I don't have any respect for the Olympics, and fuck you. So pick your side. Both have likable qualities. Both have extremely unlikable qualities.
And as long as you keep those kind of feuds and characters to a minimum, I think it does work in a modern audience. But
yeah. So next match was the Inner Circle versus American Top Team. Speaking of MMA, I think this match went on a little too long too. Like everybody got their stuff in, which was cool.
It was weird that it started off as a regular tag match. Like,
that's what killed me. Like, this makes no sense. It's a street fight. Why is it starting off like a regular tag match?
I think it's like everybody who watched that has that takeaway of like, what the fuck? That was a weird start.
Everyone forgot what kind of a match they were in for a minute.
The one thing
like
that they
Lucha
did.
Brothers FT. It's like with Lucha Brothers FTR. It's like had a great beginning and a bad ending. This case, this street fight had a crappy beginning, but a pretty hilarious ending.
Yeah, I felt like it went a little too long, but like it did build to the right thing, which is Dan Lambert eventually getting his. There's another here's another tag team that can work with anybody. The Men of the Year.
Mm-hmm. And LAX.
Yeah. Oh, I said Santana Ortiz earlier, but yeah.
Yeah.
We need the real LAX back.
Do we?
My personal opinion.
Okay, that's fine.
I just miss hearing the gunshots in the beginning. It's like, and
they were awesome, but I mean, they're
just older now.
Not spring chickens anymore. They're not going to wrestle like they did in TNA.
Well,
and Homicide has a plethora of injuries.
Santana, Ortiz, Homicide can be the manager, and boom, you have LAX, and maybe Thunderosa just thrown in the mix.
But yeah, I thought like there's not like a lot to say about it. There's nothing real deep other than like it built up. You had your kind of like, oh fuck you, Dan. Like it was everything the match needed to be. It was by the numbers. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes just being by the numbers and having like following a format is not a bad thing. You have the moment where you thought Dan Lambert was going to get over on Chris Jericho, and you're like, you son of a bitch. And then eventually Dan Lambert gets his, and you're like, fuck yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Is it cliche and unoriginal? Yeah, sure. And, if you are completely over that sort of thing, there's nothing that the four of us are going to say that's going to convince you otherwise. But sometimes this shit just is what needs to happen, and that's what happened, and I dug it.
Did
any of us say
if American Top Team was going to win the match? Did any of us predict it? Okay, so I know I didn't.
No, I didn't. All right.
Also, the Purple Rain chant was hilarious.
CJ, anything you want to add?
No, not really. I don't know if anybody else caught the minor error at the end of the match where Chris Jericho was just kind of perched on the rope like a parrot
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
somebody missed
because
their
Junior
spot.
Santos missed his cue.
So you heard
This
him
is
go,
why Anderson
Junior!
Silva's
Junior!
better.
Chris Jericho is turning into an old lady.
Here's the one thing, and I'm not. I say this with all respect and love. He was doing a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, and he had an Eddie Guerrero moment. Where the fuck was Mickie?
He had several.
He had his Eddie moment, waiting to do tribute to Eddie.
Yeah. Like, it had to happen. He couldn't just improvise out of the spot. It was unfortunate, but it's fine. It's fine.
All right, final match.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about that one a little bit.
Okay.
I think that I didn't love this one. It would have been much better, in my opinion, if this was a Survivor Series style, like elimination match, than a street fight, because we had a street fight that was much better on the card earlier, that was a multi-man tag, and which I don't know if that's why they started in the ring. I think they most started in the ring to keep Dan Lambert from immediately getting tagged, because that's what you would do in that situation. But I just I thought it was I just think it would have been a lot better. And I know maybe you don't want to beat Junior Dos Santos or oh gosh, I can't think of, I don't know why I think of his name. Andre Arlovsky.
The other MMA guy.
Maybe you don't want to have them. Yeah, I love Andre Arlovsky. I forgot his name. You don't want to necessarily make those guys take a pin, but I think
you could
having
work
it
DQ
down
or something.
Yeah, I think having it down to Chris Jericho and Santana Ortiz versus frick, why am I forgetting all these names? The American Top Team leader guy.
Dan Lambert.
Dan Lambert, yeah. If it would have just been down to those three, I think that would have been a little nicer. You can do one of those classic, he turns around and realizes, oh shit, kind of moments. And it just didn't, there was nothing that topped the first match as far as craziness goes. And it didn't really do anything that, it just didn't seem necessary to go that crazy. Also, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Santana, looked like he really fucked someone up in the front row when he jumped off that security guy's back. He knocked the dude down and he was grimacing hard.
Move!
He said
Yeah.
move 3 times and they did not know how to move.
It was Austin Powers on a steamroller.
Well, it was every St. Louis Anarchy show we've went to. I've been hit so many times at those damn shows.
Move!
But yeah, so that could potentially lead to something very bad if that guy got hurt. But yeah, I just seemed I didn't hate it, but it just didn't add anything, and it just was a retread of something we saw better earlier. And I would have liked it a lot more if it was just a traditional elimination tag.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but I just kind of, to me, the whole thing was there just to eventually get Dan Lambert's comeuppance, and
yeah,
I feel like
you
could
have done that in that way.
Yeah,
but you had Sammy jump off of a ladder and a bunch of guys do a bunch of crazy stuff that no one's gonna remember. They were unnecessary crazy bumps, in my opinion.
Okay, fair. All right, so main event. Hangman Adam Page for Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. They really, with the entrances, really built up the big fight feel. I really thought they did a great job with an atmosphere. And fuck anyone that doesn't think it is. That's my hill to die on. Anybody that thinks they didn't set this match up well. Anybody that doesn't think that it was Hangman's time. Or that they should put the belt on the WWE guy that just came in because, quote, that's where your money is. Or says that AEW can't build up a match. I think you can all pick one and suck it. So there's my rant to some boomers with some podcasts. The match itself. I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't a bad match. It was a very good match. I think, knowing what we know now about the shape that Kenny was in and what he had to push through for this match, I understand it a little bit more. it wasn't the epic match that I think a lot of us were thinking it would be. You know, was still great. Still, in terms of moments, it's the best moment in AEW's existence. As far as the match itself, they did the best they could with how hurt Kenny was, but you know, nothing to complain about. Just maybe not the epic, you know, 7 or 8 star Dave Meltzer match that we thought we were going to get, on the Okada and the Naito levels with Kenny and Ibushi. Just kind of a good match where they told a good story. They worked around the limitations that we now know about, and made for an emotional moment. And the right guy won. Somebody, please.
Yeah, I
Sorry. Okay, I'll say my real quick one because actually my battery's like dying a little bit, but you know what? I forgot I had a charger pack here. But anyway, so I thought it was a great match. Like I unfortunately like it didn't feel like it was being built up to, you know, everything that's been going on here. I thought there could have been a lot more like emotion. Like I guess like I didn't like get 100% emotionally invested with this. Like I guess it would be different like for if we actually like saw this in person, you know, yeah, that'd be completely different. But on TV, it was just like, great world title match. I actually did put this in my top 10 for the countdown, so you'll see where that falls under because I still thought like the right guy won for all those naysayers who are thinking the St. Hangman's time. And I will openly admit I was one of those naysayers myself. But it wasn't because when I picked Kenny Omega, it wasn't because I don't think Hangman was ready. I just thought
I thought they were going to go into. The whole thing just reminded me of Okada and Naito, where it's like, nope, we got to have one more big failure before we give him our moment. I guess I'm just so cynical from WWE and New Japan for so long playing this, and Ring of Honor playing this like, nah.
Well, AEW can do it too, but you know, there's good like long term, I guess, storytelling that we can do with this too. So especially the same we can go for Brian and Omega, which hopefully when Omega gets better from I guess whatever injuries he got from, we'll finally have that dream match that won't end in a time limit draw. So it was great also seeing I guess like Dark Order coming out and then they hang him a beer and Hangman's like, yeah, I don't want the beer, just hugs. And also I found the hilarious irony that they lifted him up as if it was like the creepers like putting him into the dark corner or something. Like that part I caught. I was like, okay, that's funny. But I still thought it was great. But I think what really got me emotionally invested was Nick and Matt Jackson coming out. I was like, oh, here we go. Bucks are gonna interfere. But no, they were just standing there and Nick just like stood there like seeing what happens. So then boom, first buckshot Larigan. And then we see Matt give a nod and I'm like, whoa, what is all of this happening here? So I was actually shocked that at least when we'll talk about it briefly on the next Diamond, I'm shocked that like Kenny wasn't extremely pissed at the two of them saying, why didn't you do anything? So, but anyways, maybe we'll have more, I guess, storytelling about on that part here. So, but I just thought like that really caught me off guard where it's like they just stood there saying like, yeah, finish the job. So to me, that kind of hints on a possible elite breakup again, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
I also cannot wait for Brian Hangman. That's gonna be incredible.
Yeah. All right. What's CJ? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much been said. The match was okay based on the constraints that they had. It was what it had to be. The ending was what mattered, and the ending happened the way it was supposed to. So, yay.
Yeah, Miss Ace isn't happy with that, Hangman. Yeah, that was kind of the whole. He doesn't need the beer anymore. He needs to. But you know who did have a beer? I had a beer for Hangman after he won. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I would have not known Kenny was injured. I thought it was as good of a match as I was really expecting, honestly. I thought it was a great in-ring match.
Hit that second, that next gear. You know what I mean?
The full gear.
They didn't hit the full gear, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying, but I just didn't um necessarily look at it like that. I thought it was awesome. I thought obviously, yeah, the right guy won. I was very happy about that. Um, I had wasn't didn't love at first the Bucks coming out, but um, as much as I dislike BTE and the Bucks like comedy stuff, I do think that they have their like the whole Elite saga has been told very well thus far. So, and they kind of followed up on some of that at the beginning of next of the episode. So, overall, though, I thought it was awesome, and um, there's some matches that aren't necessarily great, though. It wasn't as good as MJF or Darby. It wasn't as good to me as that six man, but it was neither was Kane Undertaker from WrestleMania 14, and that's one of my favorite matches of all time, still because it was one of the like it was a payoff to a very like long and well built story about my favorite wrestler when I was a kid. It's still my favorite wrestler of all time, and that match is not very good, but it's still one of my favorite matches, um, just because of the context around it. So, this automatically gets elevated 3 stars because of what it is, even
Right.
if it wasn't very good on the ring. But yeah, perfect ending.
All right, so now it's time for us to light the fuse and bring the boom. We're gonna talk Dynamite after an hour and 30 minutes of talking about Full Gear. So we're gonna have to breeze through this pretty quickly. First segment, Hangman having a celebration, great celebration. Danielson comes out and goes into 2005, 2006, 2007 Ring of Honor bad guy Brian Danielson, where he's just basically kind of like, yeah, I'm the best in the world and I can back it up and I can beat the fuck out of you with anything. Just like kind of the way he's so good and he kind of tells you how good he is and owns the room. Uh, just shows how great he is. I know a lot of people are online are saying like, why can't he be the planet's champion again? It's like, no, like instead of him going the cheap route and going, I'm gonna be an obnoxious preachy hipster, he's gonna like go in a way that is actually challenging. And goddamn, did it work? Because people are booing Brian Danielson out of the building for questioning Hangman. Yeah, just
Name dropping WrestleMania.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
That was risky.
but yeah, it was just very well done. The match he had with Evil Uno, where he just basically it reminded me. This match reminded me of this a match he had in Ring of Honor, where he beat. They were gonna have a match. It's like Daniels versus I want to say Roderick Strong. We're gonna fight for the right to wrestle Bryan later on in the night. So Bryan said, "Okay, I'll make things fair. I'll have a warm up match." And he wrestles a guy named Azrael that just didn't really have a big career in Ring of Honor, and just you could tell he just Azrael was just completely outmatched, and he'd get a few spots in, but overall, like Bryan just fucking aggressively killed him. And then later on, he had one of my favorite moments with against Roderick Strong, where like Roderick Strong was on his knee from a wrist lock, and Bryan goes, "Yeah, Roderick, tap out to a fucking wrist lock." I just had to say that because Nick loves Roderick Strong. But yeah,
I
I love
do.
what they're doing. Again, anybody that says that AEW can't tell simple and effective stories, um, Bryan's turn to the dark side makes sense. And the storyline they're going with Bryan makes all the sense. He says, okay, I don't want there to be an excuse. I want Hangman to have enough time to rest because I want there to be excuses when I beat him for the belt. And I want to take out all of his friends in the Dark Order in one by one before we get there. He's got Colt Cabana next. They have great chemistry. This is fucking wrestling writing perfection, and I'm fucking here for it. What say the rest of you?
Yeah, I agree. I for sure think this is better than the Planet's Champion. And the Planet's Champion was awesome, but he like just did that, so he doesn't need to do that again. This is a more complex, complicated character to pull off, but if someone can, because he's done it in the past, it's Brian Danielson. And it's a character we don't see very often, which is like, I'm not silly at all. I'm not gonna like roast you in the promos like MJF does. Like, there's no silliness at all, even a little bit. It's like, I'm better than you, like in the ring, and I will defeat you handedly, and let's just do it. Um, so cool to see. I thought it was wasn't really expecting it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. A swerve wasn't really a swerve; it was just something we didn't see coming. So, or at least that I didn't see coming. So, I'm excited about it, excited for the match. And he hasn't really been anything. He hasn't particularly done any kind of good guy stuff since he got there. Really, it still fits with his character. Like he came in and was like, "I want to wrestle Kenny Omega to prove I'm better than him," and then he doesn't like the bad guys, but he hasn't really been super nice to anybody, or like, you know what I mean. He's just kind of been this is just what he's been doing, cranked up and a little meaner.
I frankly would rather prefer a bad guy Bryan Danielson. We really don't. We got a lot of heroes already, but we don't really, unless you're MJF, it's like we don't really have that many villains per se, especially now with Kenny going to be gone for God knows how long. I wouldn't mind Bryan actually just being top bad guy. Now I'm just thinking Miro too, but it's like, well, he's gone. He's going to do his own stuff. I'd rather see bad guy Bryan Danielson. It would be interesting.
CJ?
I think he's gone kind of like that old school bad guy feel. Like in the old territories, a lot of time, like, yeah, they do some dastardly things, but a lot of times they would look at you and tell you the exact truth, and that's what he's doing. He's like, I can out wrestle you. I wrestle every single night, and I beat every single person, and he's not lying. He's just presenting it in a way that people don't necessarily appreciate, and I feel like it's very old school, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the next match is one where this is going to be where I rant. It is Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii versus the Butcher and the Blade. Once again, to me, AEW fails hard with the Forbidden Door. Not saying that it's a bad match. Not saying that Ishii did a bad job. The fact that I'm just completely fucking over this Hardy Family Office and fucking Orange Cassidy bullshit. It's ran its fucking course and it needs to fucking end. But the other thing is, if this was your first time seeing Tomohiro Ishii, you would not get what the big fucking deal is. Same thing with Minoru Suzuki. He couldn't even get his own entrance. Not that he had a big entrance like Suzuki, but at least let him, hear the dogs bark, give him his own props, and let him stand on the apron with the belts and go, okay, fucking this is a bad, bad motherfucker, and you should respect him. And go from there. And then, like, okay, cool. If he's got this really ominous theme song that we hear right before the Pixies kick in, and we see him wrestle, okay, he's a big deal. But he literally went out there and played second fiddle to Orange Cassidy, which I'm okay with AEW talent and AEW not bending at the knee for all the New Japan guys like Ring of Honor used to. But you gotta fucking at least make him seem more like just fucking mid-card nobodies from Japan. Because that's all AEW has done with this fucking Forbidden Door is make mid-carders out of New Japan guys. If you can't fucking make him seem like a big deal, then don't bring him in. There you go. I don't care. Like, oh, it's so neat to see him. I don't care. Okay, cool. Like you would not. Again, asking other company if they used Ishii this way, you'd be going, what the fuck did you do to Ishii? But because this is AEW, oh, so what? Ishii's a fucking mid-carder. If you can't fucking use him right, don't bring him the fuck in. You got enough talent on your roster. You don't need it anyway. If you can't do it, let it be. There you go. Somebody else can go on.
So who cares? Ishii's a mid-carder is my take on this. I thought it was fine. I actually think that they presented him better than they did Suzuki. As far as like in the ring goes, at least in that initial Suzuki match. And he doesn't have the iconic entrance, and no one would really. I can't tell you what Ishii's music is.
I'm not saying he needs like an iconic entrance. I'm just saying he needs like kind of that moment where it's like, oh shit, he's getting his own introduction. He is this dude he holds a belt in New Japan. He got his own entrance. This is a fucking yeah, man. Like this guy must be somewhat of a big deal, and he's come to AEW. This is kind of cool. Instead, it's like, oh hey, he's come to AEW because apparently, I guess he's friends with Orange Cassidy or some shit. Okay, cool.
I think that it would benefit them to explain what chaos is more. I think you could do a little vignette on Ishii and chaos to explain like the best friends are in chaos now. Like that would definitely be helpful, just to establish it. But as far as his presentation, I really don't have any issues with it. I don't think he's going to be there for long. He might be there another match or two like Suzuki was, but um, if you would have just presented it, you wouldn't have to make a big deal out of it if you explain that being in chaos is a big deal and this guy's in chaos and he's a badass and he just won a belt.
That
Then
too.
it's okay if he comes out in with Orange Cassidy and he does play second fiddle because you at least know who he is more. But I thought in the ring he looked cool. He looked like a badass.
Other
And he
downsides,
got the
he's wrestling
pin.
the Butcher and the Blade, which I'm really not a big fan of.
And I like the Butcher and Blade. I am very angry that they got rid of their music because their music was killer and they gave him the mediocre Matt Hardy music. And yeah, I do agree with you that I don't know why they're still doing this Orange Cassidy
I think that's
Matt
part of the
Hardy
reason why I'm
thing.
more upset. Is it's like you're bringing in Ishii and you're wasting him on this useless ass fucking program. Like for
But do you
everybody.
want to have him come in and beat somebody and then leave and never come back?
No, but I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying like I don't. Orange Cassidy needs something new. The Hardy family office needs broken up. Like it's that bad. When outsiders go, this is bad. Like I can't say anything to stand up for the off. I'm like, yeah, it sucks. This is bad. It's a bad program. It's being drug on way the fuck too long. Matt Hardy is not as good as he used to be. Big Money Matt is not a cool character, and not even like cool in the he's getting not even like the Dan Lambert okay, hey, at least he's like people want to see him get like it's like no get the Hardy Family Office on TV. Cool. Who needs a beer? Who needs a burger? I'm going. Let's go. Deuces. Um,
Yeah.
but here's like why I guess I have like more hangers. Like all I'm seeing everybody do is, oh my god, it's gonna be where Okada comes in. This is gonna be Okada comes in. If this is what they got planned for fucking Kazuchika Okada, holy shit balls! What the fuck?
And here's another thing though. Ishii is a mid-carder.
He's a mid carder, but like, he's a mid carder in
So
Japan.
would you bring Chuck Taylor over to New Japan and make it a big giant deal?
I'm not saying it needs to be a big giant deal. I'm saying like there needs to be a reason to care. There needs to be something of like, hey, this is a something that is
I guess
going
I
on.
look at it as almost just like a neat little like Easter egg to me. And I agree that like I said, they should explain chaos, but it doesn't also I don't care about New Japan anymore. And like it just doesn't bother me, I think. It's just I don't really care personally.
To me, it's more so. It's like I'm not saying they gotta steamroll your whole talent roster. I'm not saying they gotta do anything. I'm just saying, fucking like I see a lot of people. It goes back to the Suzuki. Like I see everybody like on Reddit, Twitter, and things like that who are like, so what is the big deal in this fucking dude? Like, what is the big deal? He.
If you post on Reddit, you know who Suzuki is.
But get what I'm saying? They're like, who is this dude? Why? I don't understand why you people give a flying fuck about this guy. And it's like, if you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna bring him, at least do something to establish, hey, here's who they are. Here's why you should care. Impact does Suzuki better than fucking AEW did. Now, granted, everybody's like, oh, that's Impact. They gotta bend at the knee for fucking in New Japan because Impact sucks. Hardy har har. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it's like, if you want AEW to truly be this, if you want AEW to truly, like, hit everything right, this is something they really need to improve on because you're dealing with chaos. You got Okada coming in. Do not make that motherfucker look mid.
Yeah, but they have all of the wrestlers they brought in were either mid card or lower. Kenta, Ishii, Suzuki, I know you love him and a lot of people love him, but he's not a top guy in New Japan. Like when if they bring in an Ibushi or an Okada or a Naito or a Shingo, like it will be a bigger deal than this.
I guess just explain.
Maybe for a pay-per-view or something. I don't know, because I'm just. I
Fucking
really
even.
don't have an opinion on it because I didn't actually, unfortunately, watch Dynamite yesterday. I was at a hockey game, but I saw some highlights and I saw like, okay, Dynamite
The
looks
match was
great,
good.
but
I will give.
I just didn't.
I'm not. It's
I
not all
didn't get
negative.
invested
I
by it.
just fucking. They need to do a better job making at least seem like, hey, somebody from like put. If you can build an aura around all your own talent, it shouldn't take that long with a couple vignettes to at least build an aura around these guys. Like, if you don't
AEW's
want to
got
do,
to bring in more vignettes next year.
yeah, like
That's your
Nick was
2020
saying,
goal.
chaos.
Yeah.
Not,
Give us a reason to
somebody,
give a shit.
somebody who doesn't watch New Japan, all they're gonna think is, oh, chaos is a big deal because Orange Cassidy's in it. It's like, okay, well, explain a little bit further about like who Chaos is. What's the members of it? What's their mission statement?
Yeah.
What brings
Especially
chaos
talk
together?
about the leader. It's Okada. Like he is one of the all-time
Maybe
greatest of our current
talk
generation.
maybe don't talk about who the old leader is because he's under contract with another organization. But still,
Yeah, just I think I really hope they do talk about Chaos more, and if Ishii is here for a little while and he's in a couple more matches, I think I would really like for them to explore Chaos and explain Chaos because they keep bringing it up. Like they're in Chaos now. They're in Chaos
for
now.
G1 Supercard, like almost every match leading up, they explained in a really awesome promo, especially like the Japanese voiceover with the subtitles. Like Jay White and Okada, like I got invested so heavily, all thanks to the promo they gave before the match started.
All right. So the match was still good, and Ishii is still good. They just fucking at least give us a reason to fucking care about him.
And the Butcher's back, and I'm gonna go see him in a concert in like a month.
Okay. We'll elaborate on that a little further. Because we got to move on. TBS Championship Tournament, Shida versus Nyla Rose. Good match.
Yeah.
The Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida program is still going on, which shows more depth in the division. Awesome. I actually thought Shida was going to win. Was really shocked when she didn't. I don't know, CJ. What say you?
It was a good match. I like the finish. I like the story that they keep telling with Shida and the knee injury and the other conflicts going on and everything like that. I think that Nyla did have to win because it's going to be probably her and Ruby Soho in the next match. So that's the way they like to do it. So that made sense, and this is fine.
All right. And they're really keeping up with the knee injury. Easy, real quick. What anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Still.
Again, I only saw like 25% of Dynamite.
Promo
the next
backstage,
segment I'll definitely talk about.
Well, if I say there's also a promo backstage where Eddie Kingston's going to do an interview, but 2.0 and Daniel Garcia there setting up a match there. That's going to be cool. And also, love the Chikara situation they got going. Before Chikara went off the deep end and you found out it ended up being pretty shitty, but still, 2.0 and Eddie Kingston, cornerstones when I was following Chikara. Here for it.
Yeah, I thought they would maybe have a little bit of a reference to that, but they didn't really.
You don't want to talk about Chikara.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can talk about it. Whatever.
You probably don't want to at this point.
Yeah, it never existed. Okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's kind of got a stigma.
Eddie Kingston. That's not where Eddie Kingston built his career.
He's got a stigma around it right
Monk.
now. Dante Martin and Leo Rush versus the Acclaimed. It's a good little match. Yeah.
Dante Martin and Leo Rush are awesome. I forgot how good Leo was. He was more impressive last week. But
this was probably
awesome.
Leo Rush has peaked since he come back. I mean, and I'm not trying to bash the guy in his, he has his own thing and he's got to do it. I guess it's just hard for me to get invested in him now.
Because he quit so much?
I mean, he's got his own, I'm not going to bash mental health. He had his reasons for retiring. And it is what it is, but it's just one of those, it's like, okay, yeah, he's great, but I feel like I'm just like at arm's length as a fan with him because like, well, how much longer is he
Mm-hmm.
going to do it?
I like the bidding war over Dante though.
That
That's a
is a
cool,
cool
like classic
storyline.
style, like an old
Like
school.
all the old managers.
Yeah.
CJ, what do you think about this?
It had Ricky Starks in it, so I was great with that.
Oh, that's right. Actually, it was a terrible segment. I take back what I said.
It's a fantastic segment. It's very, very thought provoking. No, I like the match. I like the whole like pull kind of thing. It kind of gives Lio Rush a better good guy feel to him because for me personally, it's just really hard to get behind him as like not a bad guy. It's a part that he plays, I think, better. He's good in the ring. I am hesitant to get invested in him because he does seem to quit so often. And for whatever reason he does or doesn't do it, it's besides the point. It's just hard to get invested in someone if you think they're not going to be around long. So, but yeah, the match was good. The storyline that they're going with is good. All good.
Yep. All right. So next segment, MJF does an interview. Basically, simple storytelling. I'm the best. I want to be the champion. CM Punk comes out. They have a stare down. I like how this was done because not a word was said. They're going to make you wait for the payoff of when they're going to confront one another and on the mic. So I like that. I like how they're doing that. And I'm going to be rooting for MJF. I feel so dirty.
CM Punk. CM Punk. You know you want to.
No, I absolutely do not want to. I will be the guy that I don't like and cheer for MJF before I cheer for CM Punk.
You better just shut your mouth if you're at a show and you want to cheer for MJF. You go to the bathroom. You do not cheer for him. It's disrespectful to MJF.
I'll just be quiet. I'll still boo
Yeah.
MJF because he's doing it, but I'm not going to cheer for CM Punk.
There you go. That's the right move.
But you're gonna
we
have
are marks here, man.
But you are gonna have me like quietly under my breath whenever he hits that diamond ring and kicks CM Punk in the balls and taunts over his body like boo, yes, boo, yes, fuck you, Punk, yeah, boo, fuck you, CM Punk. But I feel dirty. I don't feel good about myself with this.
So here's the interesting thing though, because now we're gonna have AEW in Chicago next week. So will MJF be the biggest troll ever and literally come out to the Cult of Personality?
If he does it, I feel like the weight of it's gone now because Punk's
They
there.
saw CM Punk like 4 times that weekend.
Yeah.
Or just like have the music play for a while and then suddenly it comes to dun 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 dun, and then it's like, yeah, were you expecting someone else?
It wouldn't be a bad, but like I don't really feel like it would have the weight that it did. Or
what if he just have like MJF like coming out and he's in CM Punk gear and it's like, yeah, CM Punk, like, because like there are old photos that have surfaced that him and CM Punk, they met when MJF was a kid.
I feel like at this
first
point,
that's amazing, but
I feel like at this point, I just want to see MJF roast that fucking crowd and roast fucking CM Punk, and CM Punk will have a great rebuttal and roast him back. But that's what I want to see.
If I didn't have family coming in next week, God, I'm gonna be so excited for that promo.
I don't know. What's CJ? You haven't added your thoughts on this yet, have you?
I have it. I'm super, super excited for this. I don't think that we're going to see this next week. I think that they're going to let it
build.
I think that this is such a big deal. And I think that CM Punk, honestly, I think that CM Punk is going to be beaten by MJF.
God, I hope so. I mean, boo.
No, I think that it makes the most sense for MJF to get the win. He does kind of have that trophy case, so to speak, of like, I beat Chris Jericho twice. I beat this person. I beat this. This has been an MJF thing before, to brag about all of the trophies in his case. This is going to be a big one. I think it makes the most sense. He's going to be a big part of your company for a long time.
He can say he's going to start a bidding war, and that's all fine and good. He'll be with AEW, I think, unless something truly goes wrong.
Mm.
Why
I mean,
But
would they ever sign
there will be a
WWE at this
bidding war,
point?
but I think that Tony Khan will bend over backwards to keep him.
I guess we'll see what happens where we are in a couple more years. Somebody who would have the money to do so at the current time doesn't seem to be interested in talents that have made their name in other places, so he might not be as big of a commodity on the market as we think he should be, and rightfully should be. But I think that his home is AEW. He is one of the 4 pillars for a reason. That's not just to say he's very young and very good. He's very young, he's very good, and he is AEW kind of homegrown. And they seem to treat their talent very well and with a lot of respect and creativity. So there's really, if he's paid well, there's really no reason to go anywhere else. But yeah, that it makes the most sense to me for that elusive CM Punk loss to come to MJF, and that be a trophy in his case, and that can build on to a title match for him later.
Definitely.
I think that's the match you put on the first TBS show, because I think that, like, if there's a match left, which there are many matches left, dream matches, but like people are going to want to see that match. Like, that's their biggest guy they have, CM Punk versus the person that most people were really excited for him to come in on. And I know transitioning to a new channel is always like a dip. I think if you want to start off with a bang, that's your main event of the first TBS show.
I agree. Next match, main event, TNT title, Sammy Guevara versus Jay Lethal. I like the match. There's some baggage on Jay Lethal, and I understand why a lot of people are uncomfortable with this signing. But he had a good match, and Sammy's a great champion, and the right guy won, in my opinion.
I really thought he was going to win, actually.
I
don't
thought he
know
was
why.
too, because there was some rumors that some other former ROH talent were also backstage, so I thought maybe
that was confirmed.
Okay, yeah, confirmed, but they didn't have anything to do with the show, but I thought they would.
Right.
I thought Jay was
Like
going
an
to win it.
invasion type of thing?
Just maybe a little stable, yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't happen, and it's not my place to comment on Jay Lethal's baggage and whether or not he should have a job. I know it makes some people uncomfortable, and I respect that. But I thought he had a good match, and that's just where I'm going to leave it.
I thought it was an incredible match. I forgot how good he is, which I told you that, and you said that's what being in Ring of Honor for 8 years will do to you.
Yeah, exactly. That is.
But yeah, he's that was really good.
I think I called it ROH
awesome.
Purgatory.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
right.
for sure. Gonna interested to see where he goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, anything else anybody wants to add about that?
Nope.
All right, so I'm going to breeze through these Survivor Series predictions because no one cares. Nakamura, RK Bro, Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, Team SmackDown Women, Team Raw Men. There you go.
Ta-da!
Agreed.
Ta-da! There is also some more releases. Damn, that's a shame. I'm very sad and heartbroken for these people. But some of them are also good cuts, in my opinion, because they weren't really doing much. And they may be better suited elsewhere, like Tegan Knox, and also John Morrison. So, that's where I'm going to end it on the releases. Anything else anybody wants to add real quick? Because we got to go.
What's he going to be next? Johnny what?
Johnny Elite
Johnny
is
Elite?
actually trending on Twitter.
Johnny Elite's
That
trending on Twitter.
doesn't roll off the
Johnny
tongue.
Elite.
Johnny Dynamite rolls off the tongue.
Johnny
It's also very similar to
Johnny
Johnny
Dynamite,
Nitro.
Johnny
Yes,
Rampage.
that's great.
Which one?
Johnny Dynamite, I like that. It's like Johnny Nitro, yeah. Love it. All right. Anybody? Good. Okay. Thank you all for joining me. If you enjoyed, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, anime, gaming, all things geek culture. Follow me on social media. Facebook.com/AthleticGeekA9. Twitter @Athletic_GeekA9. Instagram @AthleticGeekA9. If you want to help this channel out financially, I'm on Patreon. Patreon.com/AthleticGeekA9. Nick, still no social media, right?
No, but I did just put out a banger of a tweet, but I'm not gonna. You can just find it if you want to be stalkery. But no shares.
Okay, no shares. EC, social media.
Geez, you sounded fast like an auctioneer. Follow me at the Twitter
Sold.
at Eric Zarins. And you can also support me if you go to tips on Twitter. You can send me some moolah on Cash App. My preferred preference is 50, but hey, donate what you can to support me as well.
Okay, and CJ.
CJ Team Algier.
All right. We went on a long time because we had two epic things we had to talk about, and I was still angry about the Forbidden Door. But that's okay, because for CJ and Nick and EC, I am the Athletic Geek. We're just Marks, and we're out. Have a good one. All right, cool. Thank you.